tell you guys a story. The story of how I became to be not so selfish. And I didn't realize that I was being selfish till years later after this happened. And so when my daughter was 1 year old and my son was 3 years old, that's when I got divorced. And my whole life fell apart after the divorce. I was so demoralized because of the divorce. I had no desire to just, do anything. It just felt like, what's the point if you could hit it your hardest and do so well, and it could just be taken just like that. Just the rug can be pulled from underneath of you so quickly, where everything just falls and is destroyed. What's the whole point? Having to rebuild again. What's the whole point? It's gonna happen again. And so I was down. They say that when you're depressed, it's because you're focusing on yourself. So I guess I was focusing on myself, my life, feeling sorry for myself, and on top of that, I had to raise my kids by myself, and I didn't even want kids before the divorce. I didn't want kids. When my wife at the time wanted them, the only reason I had them was because she forced me to, but I didn't even want kids. So now here I am having to take care of two little kids on my own, not knowing anything about kids, let alone didn't even want them in the first place. Don't get me wrong, all that changed. One time I had to, I remember my daughter, she was still in diapers, and she would get constipated when she was a little girl. So she'd have a hard time pooping, So and there's one particular time that I had her, it was my weekend. She was constipated, she was crying, she was trying to go to the bathroom, but she couldn't. I didn't know what to do. So I remember having her lay down on the bed and pulling her diaper out, and I just figured, you know what, maybe if I can just get her to push enough, I can grab part of it and I can help her pull it out. I thought, maybe what if I go get a screw, a big threaded screw, and I use it kind of like a corkscrew, and if I could see enough of it, I could put it in there like a corkscrew, turn it, and then pull it out. And so I went downstairs to my toolbox, I grabbed one, and I come running back upstairs. And, as I'm holding it, and I'm getting ready to do it, I just realized, no, this can't be right. This cannot be right. What if I hurt her? What I do is put a screw, up her butt to try to pull out the poop. Come on, this can't be right. What am I doing? I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm using my man skills to try to help this baby out, like if I'm doing some kind of a tool job. And I just said, no, I just put it to the side, and I just looked at my little girl, and I said, baby, you gotta push. So I figured, I'm just gonna try to see how I can communicate with her. And I just told her, I was like, gotta push. And then I started acting like I'm pushing, And then she looks at me and she's like, and I'm like, push. And then so she starts pushing. And I'm like, oh shoot, she's getting there. What? Oh, that's pretty cool. And she's pushing. And I'm like, keep pushing. And as she's pushing, I can see the poop starting to come out. And so I'm like, oh, you know what? If I could just have her push enough to where I could grab part of it, and then I'll help her pull it out, we'll be good. And so I'm like, push, baby, push. I can see, push. And she's pushing, and it's coming out. And I grab it by the tip, and I slowly start pulling it out, sliding out, and I'm telling her, push. And she's pushing, and her face is getting red. She's like, but I'm like, push. And then I pull out this big old log. And it comes out, and I'm like, yes, yes, and I pull it, and I'm holding it in my hand, and I'm looking at it, and I'm so excited. I'm like, yeah, baby, yeah, we got it. And she starts laughing, but like embarrassed, relieved, but she's laughing and she's like embarrassed, like she understands what's going on. And I'm like, what? This little baby like knows, understands what's going on. She's relieved. She knows she's relieved. She's laughing because she thinks it's funny, and she's a little embarrassed. I could see it in her face. She's embarrassed because it's kind of embarrassing, but it's funny. She gets this, and I'm like, what? And from that moment on, I just started to fall in love with my little girl and my son. I don't know why. I just started noticing that they were real humans. I guess I don't even know. When you don't have kids, you don't even think about kids. You don't care to like put yourself in their shoes, nothing. You don't like kids even bother you. So I went from there to all of a sudden like having a genuine interest in my kids, and I'm realizing that they're little humans too, that really understand things and get things just like me. And I just had a moment with my daughter of a victory where I was so scared because I didn't know what to do, and it worked out, and I was able to help her, and she was relieved and she was happy, and that made me feel good again. And from that moment on, I started having a new purpose in life, which came in at the perfect timing when I had lost my reason for being. All of a sudden, I found a new reason for being, to love my little kids and to take care of my little kids. I started becoming about my little kids. And once I started doing that, the reasons to want to do things again started coming back. The empowerment started coming back. My new reason for being, I had a new reason for being, for existing, coming back. I started feeling good about myself. I started focusing on having something positive to focus on. And I started feeling better about myself. I started becoming about my kids. And then that's where my whole life changed, from being selfish to actually living for someone else. Being about somebody else other than myself. And that journey led me to true love. True unconditional love for my kids. And after that, it was about me and my kids. And after that, I started seeing my kids and all the kids in the world. And I started having love. The same love that I was starting to have for my kids, I started having it for other kids. It was weird, but I could just talk to them from that place, and I could tell that they would feel me, and I was able to like help them and heal them, like in areas that I knew that they needed to be healed in, because I remember what it was like to be a kid. But now that I'm an adult, I knew what to say to them, and I actually started realizing I actually knew how to start loving kids by learning to love my kids and learning to love myself again. So just wanted to share that little story with you guys, because I think that's one of those beautiful moments of my life that were so transformative, that woke me up to a different way of being, a different consciousness, a different awareness, different understanding, and it completely changed my life. And I think there's so much to it, that I can't even think of right now. From coming from being selfish to unselfish, from not caring about a group of people to all of a sudden like noticing them, realizing the beauty behind them, and then loving them. Going going from being selfish to having unconditional love for someone else. There's so much to it that happened in that moment. I just wanted to put it out there before it was lost. And I hope that this blesses people in the future. And I hope this helps people get out of depression, find meaning, find love for your kids, find love for yourself, and realize that there is a God out there and that life is happening for you, to grow you, to make you better, to level you up. It's not happening to you. Things aren't happening to mess with you. Things are happening to push you to grow. And God's there with you to help you with all his love. Be blessed, my friends.